Wonderful. Okay, welcome back to day two of this self-discovery. Yesterday we were talking about and noticing resistance. So we were talking about what resistance is, and maybe you were noticing how it shows up for you, maybe as avoidance, distraction, judgment, rationalizing, criticism, anger, confusion, forgetfulness. So there's so many ways that it can show up, and it really tries to deter, like we talked about yesterday. It's going to try to keep you safe, keep you in that narrow bandwidth of frequency so that we don't leap into that new zone. And we want to notice now, today, we're going to talk about noticing that resistance. But once we call it out, once we're there with it, once we're willing to face it, we get to we get to see what happens in our bodies. So we get to see what our response is to that obstacle coming up as we move towards our goals. So, what is the fight, flight, and freeze reaction within us? And then what do we do about it? So, that's step two, that's day two of this self discovery, is playing with our nervous systems to assess what is showing up through that resistance and knowing that it's our survival strategy, knowing that we acquired this from 0 to 7 and through our lineage, through generational trauma, through our blueprint that we came in with. And and then all the other incidences that happened along the way until however old you are now, we are moving towards noticing what is limiting us from that time in the present moment. And so this survival strategy from back then is being triggered again in this present moment as fight, flight, or freeze. So next slide here. We all experience struggle. Of course we do. We experience the physical side of struggle. Maybe we have periods that are crazy and irregular and all kinds of problems with them. Maybe we have never ending headaches, digestive issues, muscular tension, or chronic pain, joint pain. Maybe you've been diagnosed with something that is physical as well as mental, emotional. Mentally, we have our patterns of struggle. Maybe we worry a lot or we ruminate on our problems, and that keeps us from falling asleep or staying asleep. Maybe we sabotage our own good behavior. When we have a stressful day, then we go to that glass of wine or we crash and have that chocolate or whatever it is. And we know that that's not where we want to move towards, but it just keeps happening because we have no other avenues of bringing us down effectively enough. And so then we have our emotional states too, of course, of struggle, where we might feel mood swings and anger and frustration and anxiety, whether it's situational or general, or maybe you feel stuck and sad. So we all have this physical, mental, emotional struggle. And then, of course, we have the world around us, which for the last 2 years has impacted every single human being in some way. And then we see the ramifications of that, our environment, our social structures, our sense of safety, and so on. So even as I say all of this, notice what shows up for you. As I talk about even the topic of struggling, feel your body. You are likely going to have a response. And just feeling what that response is for you. Just briefly. And then we all have resources and resiliencies within ourselves and around us. We have external resources, our loved ones that can give us a hug and bring us down off of our stressful states. We have nature and animals. Maybe you have pets at home, children. We have nature. We can go out for a walk. We can connect with the sun when it's out. It's foggy today over here, so we can even connect with that and feel the moisture of the fog as you walk around. So there's these external resources we have, the things that we do to take care of ourselves, take a bath, read a book, a glass of wine, whatever it is, things that we do that bring us joy, when we snuggle our children or our pets, when we when we even cry on the shoulder of a loved one. All of these are external resources. And then we have our internal resources, this level of maybe motivation or determination within us that ebbs and flows as the day goes on, as the weeks and months pass. Maybe we have curiosity and a hopeful nature about us. That's an internal resources that we can bank on, we can utilize more of, especially in stressful situations. Maybe we tend to have internal resources where we're open to learning new things, where not as much resistance shows up to us when we have a new thing we're learning. That's a beautiful internal resource. And then maybe we have the ability to reach out for help. That's a wonderful resource as well. So we have all of these external and internal resources. And I wonder, as you hear me saying all of these things, feel your body. Notice the difference when we talked about the struggles and when we talked about your resources. Maybe there's some resistance showing up in facing that you have resources. Maybe not. Maybe you're letting it all flow in. Good. So we want to learn how to work with the body to renegotiate these struggles. So when this next phase of you look at your resistance, okay, I'm resistant to something. Now I assess my system. Am I in fight, flight, or freeze? And that's what we're going to talk about today. Am I in fight, flight, or freeze? And then that next piece is renegotiate that pattern so that the struggles can start to lift. And of course, we want to support and grow our resilience because that continues to grow our container to be able to handle more and more and more. So we've got the nervous system. It's made up of the somatic nervous system. This is the part of our bodies where we can control our movements. I can move my arm and it moves. I think to move my arm, I don't even have to actually, but consciously I want to make a movement and I move. Autonomic nervous system is automatic. It occurs without our thinking about it. If we didn't have this, we wouldn't be able to carry out all the functions the body carries out all of the time. But our autonomic nervous system is wired in us from 0 to 7, where we're in that dreamlike state and where we don't have any filters, very little filters. And this we can change, right? Even though the autonomic system is unconscious, it happens without our control. We can grow aware of what it's doing and then work with the body and mind together so that that wiring can change and shift. So we've got the sympathetic nervous system over here on the left. And this is a defense strategy that the body has to save us. We need this. We enact it all of the time, every single day. It is ebbing and flowing throughout our day. We feel mobilized to put our body into action. My kitchen is a disaster. I have to get up and clean it. If I don't, I feel this sense of flight response, this panicking in my chest, for example. So we come up against it all of the time. And so we're going to go into each mobilized response. So one is fight. The emotional, you may want to write this down just so that you kind of can start to externalize as I speak, it's just a different way, of course, of learning. So fight, we might feel angry and frustrated. When we're in a fight place, it often involves our hands, our arms, and our jaw. It can also involve our shoulders. If the jaw is involved, our shoulders can get involved. So just think about, as you tense your hands up, tense your arms, tense your shoulders all the way up through the jaw. Those are the body parts that are targeted with the fight response. We might also feel hot with the fight response. We tend to want to defend ourselves, blame, and push away. So think of, as if you're in a fight, you would push your arms out and get that person off of you or away from you. That's a fight response. And you may want to fight them off with punching, right? Involving the arms again, or the head and neck would deflect or move away from that situation. So there's the fight response. We've got the flight response where there's anxiety and panic. Oftentimes you see this in the legs. The legs get restless, they want to move, and in the chest can feel heavy and tight, constricted. Again, we want to get up and get away. We want to run. We want to move away, but far, far away, not just get the person away like in fight. We want to get the hell out of there. So our torso might want to move back and forth. It might want to actually rotate right around. That would be that running action. The head and shoulders can brace themselves and move backwards as well in this state. And so with fight, maybe imagining you actually moving that situation away from you, pushing it away. With flight, maybe you want to imagine yourself running away from the situation. This gives your body the opportunity to work through the pattern somatically through the body. It doesn't matter if it's logical or not. Our logical brain gets in the way a lot of our body's healing because we think we shouldn't do it. But if you're angry and upset at something, you're allowed to imagine whatever you want to imagine so that your body can feel safe and you can feel that renegotiation and letting go of what keeps holding you back. So then we have the freeze pattern. So this is in a different, so the sympathetic system right over here, that's that fight flight state. Our defenses are turned on. When we move to the parasympathetic state, that section on the right there, this is called our rest and digest state, but we have different degrees of parasympathetic state. And the defense strategy of the parasympathetic system is immobilization and freeze. It is still a defense strategy. This is how we survive when things get so overwhelming. We have to be a deer in the headlights and collapse and move out of our bodies. Just really disconnect, completely disconnect. So when a freeze response is indicated or in the body, in the experience of the nervous system, we're going to feel terror potentially or great fear, or it flips and turns into nothingness, emptiness, and a detached sort of feeling. It involves it can involve the whole body, and you shut down and you want to curl up into a ball, take a nap, you feel so wiped out and tired. Or it could be sections of the body. Numbness is an indication that that section of the body has gone into a freeze response. Foggy headed, it happens a lot in the head. We overanalyze, at least I do, and rationalize so much that we can get this overwhelm in the head and feel foggy around the eyes, forehead, tired, like we need a nap again, and feeling out of it. So this is an indication that we're in freeze, and that's that parasympathetic state. What helps us get out of freeze is support, social engagement and support. If you feel safe in that interaction, if you feel a little bit of that freeze coming on, see if you can walk toward a loved one and have them hold you. And just feel into that connection. Connection is going to thaw freeze. And it's slow. Freeze to thaw is slow, but you do it every single time you hug that loved one or take in a smile from someone or really connect in that beautiful, lively way that we can with other human beings. That turns off our defenses and we move right into what's called a vagal break for our nervous system. And what that then prompts our systems to do is move into a sense of safety, defenses turn off, and we move into this state of rest, digest. So this is the place where our body can rest, our body can digest properly, blood flow goes back from the muscles and tissues or brain back to the core and back to our organs so that they can function properly. And then it helps us to heal. It helps us to detoxify properly, helps us to move our bowels properly. It takes, we get the nutrients from our food properly, and then we move it back out to the muscles and the joints and our brain. And so, with this rest and digest state, we get to tune back into connection and bonding with those that we love and strangers and anyone that we come in contact with. And we get to restore ourselves. We restore ourselves to proper function. And of course, this is why we always talk about, you know, how important it is to fit self-care in your life, exercise, good food, sleeping adequately, meditating, listening to wonderful music. All that stuff is fantastic because it helps to turn off your defenses of fight, flight, and freeze and bring in that parasympathetic state. But your patterns are still the same. Your patterns will still go back to the usual. So we've got these repeating patterns in our systems, and we can do all the yoga we want, all the meditation we want. Those patterns are still stuck in your physiology. And so we need to learn how to assess what's happening in the physiology and then learn how to move that through our bodies and minds so that we can hit up this section, right? Moving with that wholeness, that urge toward wholeness up to this new place of being where we might feel more ease and flow, where we feel a deepening in our relationships, where we feel less fear, worry, and suffering, where we have this ability to listen to our own knowing, and maybe we feel less physical constriction, and that then um, kind of cascades down into our whole physiology and allows it to work more properly. So the first, when we did day one yesterday, we talked about resistance as being this R. And today, day two, this R is renegotiation. We need to renegotiate the stuck patterns of fight, flight, and freeze so that you can move towards all the things that you want more of in your life. And so this pertains to that one goal that you really want to work on. And so we get to move into today's exploration. And so I invite you to find a comfortable place to sit and lie down. And I'm going to stop sharing now. Wonderful. Good. So finding your comfortable place to sit or lie down and noticing the work that you did yesterday, maybe the resistance that you notice showing up in your life. Maybe it's avoidance, distraction, judgment, confusion, forgetfulness. And whatever it is, today we're going to say to ourselves, even though this happens for me, where I feel resistant sometimes to change, I deeply love myself anyways. And just hear me say that, and part of you might be able to receive that, part of you might not be able to receive that, but just see if you can love yourself anyways, even though this pattern of resistance shows up for you. Really just giving your body now a reminder of I am safe. I am safe to explore something new. I am safe to explore and face what's holding me back from achieving this goal that I want. And so bring to mind that one thing that you want to change and you want to manifest in your life. And yesterday we envisioned that it happened. It was there. And just see how it feels inside right now as we say that. Do you feel constricted or open in this moment? And just letting that all settle, feeling yourself settle Maybe bringing yourself down, 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 down with your awareness to the root of you, to your seat, to your hips. Just getting you into your body now, out of your mind, out of the world around you. Moving you down into your root chakra, that pelvic bowl, that place where all things can come true and manifest, where our sense of creation lies. And just feeling into this pelvic bowl for yourself. Noticing that dropping down of energy that occurs, noticing that letting go, noticing how that happens for you right now. And from this place, I'm going to say a sentence and notice how your body responds to it. Your goal has not happened yet. It's not here. And as soon as I say that, feel how your body reacts to that. Where do you feel it? Notice the emotion that comes up. This is giving you cues and clues whether this is fight, flight, or freeze. Feeling the sensation. Where is it? Fight, flight, or freeze? What's the emotion when you recognize it's not here? I want it, but it's still not here. You might have a mishmash of a couple. That means that there's different layers. But choose the one that's most prominent in this moment. And just feel what it's like to sit here in your reaction to it, your stress reaction to this goal not being here. Notice if it's tolerable. This is the thing. We want to make sure that you're able to sit in this. Scale of 1 to 10, how uncomfortable is it for you? 10 being you're frozen and out of your body and you're done. But 1 being I'm totally cool with this. It's all good. I can sit with this. Good. So just noticing where you're at. And seeing right now, if you're in fight and you're noticing it in your arms, shoulders, head, and neck, see what your body might want to do as a movement. If you're in flight and you're feeling it in your chest or in your legs, again, asking your body, what does it want to do? How does it want to move right now? None of your videos are on, so you can do what you want to do. If you're in freeze and you want to take a nap and cuddle up and you're totally fogged up, you just do that. Let yourself have the response your body wants to have. And as you do this, feel how your body takes this in. Notice the part of you that actually is receiving this and renegotiation of fight, flight, or freeze. See how your body is taking this in. There's going to be a part of you that's doubting it. This isn't real. This isn't happening. That's the resistance. And we're back to feeling what your body wants to do. Even if it's not moved, doesn't want to move, then that's great. Then feel that too. And notice what happens next in your body as you give it what it needs. Maybe you get a deep breath. Maybe there's a yawn. Maybe there's a burp. Maybe there's a um, feeling to stretch, twitching. All of these are signs that your body's actually redoing this pattern, rewiring this pattern. And even if there's an opening or settling happen after you do the behavior, as you make that movement, that same thing, that's the body moving through it. And now that feels complete. I want you to imagine again that it already happened. Your goal occurred. You did it. It has actually come to life. See it in your mind's eye. Smell it, taste it, play with the thing that you wanted, whatever it is that you want in your life, it's there, it's happened. You get to enjoy it. And again, notice if you can take this in. As you see it happen, how does this benefit you? How does it benefit you and those that you love? Because there's something deep here that this goal is feeding for you. What does it mean for you to have this come true? What does it say about you? So this is you doing the healing work. You have just moved from a state of stress to a state of rest and digest. And it wasn't perfect. And there's going to be hard parts about the movement back and forth, but you just did it. And so today, for the rest of the day, you get to notice what's different now as you made this pendulation back and forth. From that fight, flight, freeze place to that place of it happened and it serves my life. So you get to just notice the rest of the day and how that feels for you. And you can always practice going back and forth, but I would probably advise today to just be able to sit in that feeling of letting go and of it happened, it's happening, it's already happening. And that'll help all of this to settle out. And so I'm going to stop the recording and then we can have some questions. But yes, much gratitude to all those that are attending via recording.